I think we did reach our target audience due to the fact when we showed it to the rest of the class, they did like it and they wanted to know what was going to happen next. Even though there were some improvements that could have been made, they still thought the storyline and themes were good. Although we only showed it to our class who were age 17, I also showed it to family and friends who were much older so we could get a range of opinions and not just from one age group. When we showed it to our class and got feedback, some of the strengths were that the music worked well and gave the storyline suspense. This was because our music went from high pitch to lower pitch, so when it got higher, the audience suspected something that was going to happen. Also, when we had the echo of the woman's voice in the beginning, this was a strength because the audience knew what had happened even without seeing the actual footage. So just by the dialogue, they could understand a lot about our thriller. The storyline was also good because it made the audience think about what the purpose of the man looking at the girl really was, if it was his daughter or if he was just trying to replace her. Charlotte liked the tracking shot. She said it worked really well because it was from the man's point of view on the little girl. I was pleased with this comment because at first we found it really hard to structure this bit. So by using the tracking shot, it allowed the audience to see the state of mind the man was in. It allowed the audience to see the state of mind the man was in, as well as giving us more information about the little girl and building up suspense. Also, they liked our titles. They said they were really effective and they were put in the correct places to help our sequence flow nicely. We then asked the class what weaknesses we had in our work. Bowdy said it was too simple. I wasn't too sure what he meant by that. It could have meant the storyline was too simple or just the way you put it together, but it was a valid point and it's something I've taken into consideration if I was doing something like this again. Also, Charlotte said that we should have had sound in the beginning because it was too silent. I really agree with this point because once we finished and watched it back, I wish we had sound in the beginning, so that is a really valid point, and if I was to do this again, I would make sure that there was sound throughout the whole piece of work. I'm glad Charlotte said that because I knew myself, and this just showed me that even though we got feedback from our classmates, they were very honest with us. We asked if anyone could explain our narrative, and some of them thought the man was a paedophile, just wanted to replace his daughter, and others knew it was his daughter. I'm glad this happened because our thriller was polysemic, and we wanted to send mixed messages out to our audience so they would ask themselves questions, and hopefully this would have made them want to watch the rest of our thriller. They also knew the subgenre, which was a psycho thriller, because of the echoes that was in the beginning. It showed that his mind was all over the place. Also, by having a restricted narrative allows the audience to see the state of mind the man was in. Marla thought the key bit of our work was the use of our overlapping dialogue in the beginning. I was very pleased with this because it seems very original, and even though it's a small effect, I feel it has added a lot of meaning to our storyline as well. Also, they liked the bit where his foot was under the ball because it added suspense due to the fact they didn't know what the man was going to do. When we asked how our thriller could have been improved, Manor said we could have used a wider range of shots. And also, someone said that in between the tracking shot, we should have intercut to something else because it was very long and could have led to being very boring. Also, we could improve it by having much more diegetic sound in it. I feel all these points are very valid and they all are something that I would make sure that I would take in consideration. I asked older family and friends to give some points on my work, and they understood the storyline and said it was simple but very effective at the same time. They also liked the music and titles. They said the titles helped to give it a creepy effect. They also pointed out that having no sound at the beginning was a letdown because it was completely silent, and the first bits are always the bits that make the audience want to watch more. So by doing this, I've learned that sound plays such a big part in thrillers, but overall I'm pleased with our thriller, and overall I'm pleased with our thriller, and I'm glad that the audience have got a mixed message of what our storyline really is, because it makes them want to watch more and want to know what happens in the end of our thriller.